I'm on the Capital Investment Committee, and there's going to be around $800 million proposed by the different projects, including everything from the restoration of the state capitol, over $100 million, to other things around the state. And we know historic goals on interest rates, put jobs, put people to work when these contracts are let, and very soon, and that's a very important thing that government could do to keep our jobs now going. They're taping this back there, that's all. You know, in the long run, maybe the government can't do a lot to keep jobs in order and more interest rates and so forth, but they could get things started, like they do in transportation. When they get a rail line, we get 4 or 6 times the private development around a rail line that you spend building the rail line. And anyway, there's going to be, and I'm not sure, the bonding bill is kind of together, but we will soon be looking at spreadsheets, they call them, where they'll have the governor's proposal, they'll have the base, they'll have the House on the schedule, and the Senate. And then they will meet in a conference committee. We have not passed it yet. It's still gelling, but it's almost there.
All right, next question. Speaking of, we've mentioned transportation. This question is from Gary Mertz. Would you like me to read your question for you? It's been reported that a rail ticket on the North Star Corridor line is subsidized by the state up to $80 per ticket. So there's a few questions here. Why should taxpayers who get no benefit from this rail line pay for the riders who do? Why not spend this money on road and bridge repairs or construction when overwhelming majority of taxpayers benefit? And knowing the result of the North Star Corridor, why should we, the state, continue to propose more rail projects until it can be self-sustaining?
The North Star Corridor rail is a commuter rail. We have not proposed any more commuter rail. There were 2 others that were being considered. One is the Red Rock going out of South St. Paul, to South St. Paul, and there was one considered slightly, your Dan Pat's line here. That was going to be a commuter rail. But they are not doing any more commuter rails at the present time. I do not know what the return on that dollar is. Those are MnDOT dollars. The other ones are the light rail system is a general fund dollar and a fare box fund, and they are planning, of course, as you know, the Central Corridor, and next in line is the Southwest Corridor, and there's one more considered and starting through the process, and that's the Butler line, which goes northwest out into Osseo Way. Why are we doing those? We're doing them to move people around, for one thing, and reduce congestion, another reason. And we have the Southwest Corridor is going to be supplying the people for probably 30,000 new job holders out in the Eden Prairie area at one time. And we do that because that's the most efficient way to move those people back and forth. And that's why businesses support rail.
I think Ron said it well. The Southwest is not a commuter rail line. I do believe we need to make investments in all our infrastructure, roads, bridges, and transit. This Southwest Corridor is one of these places where most of the community has come together. The Chamber of Commerce thinks it's a good idea, the local businesses think it's a good idea, the legislature thinks it's a good idea, and most people that live in these communities think it's a good idea. I don't know if any of you will drive on 62 on 5 to noon, but it's impossible. It's a parking lot. United Healthcare is creating 6,000 new jobs, and they're donating a train station because they want to get their employees to and from work in an efficient and prompt manner. And so I think it's a benefit to the state, it's a benefit to our suburbs, and I think it's a good thing.
option for them, and it's an affordable option. And some people that have talked to me, we don't think about this because it maybe not affect us directly, but folks that are epileptic that can't have a license rely on these resources to be able to get to and from work and get their groceries. And I'll be a senior someday, hopefully, so I'll be able to take the transit lines that we are developing. So we have to think long-term for our transit system. And like Representative Rosenthal said, the business community is screaming for this investment. They were in our Transportation and Public Safety Committee this week when we unveiled a lights on bill, and they were very, very disappointed. They actually said, tax me because we want this investment. And this is more on the transit half-cent proposal that would go for the metro counties, 7 metro counties, to fund transit. The reason we haven't been doing just that is because we want to make sure we do a comprehensive investment in transportation, not just transit, but also bridges and roads. So we can't just fund one thing without the other. I think they're really go hand in hand.
And I'd just like to add one thing. Roads are subsidized too. So it's not just light rail. It's our whole transportation system that's subsidized.
I'm going to shift topics now to something that's been in the news quite a bit. We have a number of questions up here about gun control, and I thought this one was fairly good because it's fairly general. This one's from Eddie Matson. Would you like me to ask you a question for you, or would you like to ask it to the legislature?
No, go ahead.
The question is, what steps do you support to improve gun control?
Sure. Well, I'm the vice chair of the Public Safety Committee. It's a Finance and Policy Committee. We held 4 days and nights of hearings on this issue. And we've heard everything from banning assault weapons and high-capacity magazines to simple background checks for gun sales, to mental health issues. And I'm a little bit disappointed in the outcome of the bill. We basically couldn't pass just a background check out of our committee. So what we did is we worked with other representatives and we closed the gun hole loophole. And we're looking into some mental health efforts that can be done. And I'm hopeful that once it hits the House floor that we can take it up again, because I think the majority of our citizens support background checks.
Well, I don't know, I said this the last time here, but I was surprised. I guess I didn't remember that we allow guns in the Capitol, which I think is really strange, because if anybody wants to take a pot shot at it with some open targets, looking up at the balcony and thinking very nice people up there, and I think this is well shooting us. But what I thought was surprising
Give me ideas.
there actually are a number of legislators that carry guns. And I don't know if I said this or not, but I was surprised. I was washing my hands in the men's room, and out of the stall came a guy with his coat off, who's a legislator, and he had a gun strapped on his hip. And I thought, wow, and this guy's a little bit loony, so I thought, dried my hands and I left. No, I am surprised that we allow guns in the Capitol. All the places that could not do it, we are doing it. And we're going to have to put up with whatever comes out of that committee, because we're not going to be able to change it. It's not the mood in Minnesota is, half the state or more is rural, and they think guns are what they were brought up to shoot and so forth. And we're going to do that. And they very strongly oppose any amendment changes that they think are changes.
So I sit on the Transportation and Public Safety Committee in the Senate, and we have not heard any gun legislation in our public safety side. They have been going through the Judiciary Committee. I can tell you that I support background checks that would work, that are sensible, that works for all the stakeholders, including law enforcement. And that seems to have the consensus of a lot of Americans and overall, and the results that we've been seeing from some of the polling that some senators and some representatives have done in the community. I do sit on the Capitol Architecture and Planning Board for the state capitol, and we are trying to find ways to make sure that the Capitol building and the premises are more safe as well, not only for issues of gun safety, when you realize that anyone can come in at any time and we're working to late hours of night, it is a concern. So that's also happening at the state capitol. But that's, at this point, nothing's really moving in the Senate, so I